Welcome to our channel, a sacred space where broken hearts find healing, weary souls discover hope, and every hurting spirit is reminded they are deeply loved by God. Here, you'll find gentle words of comfort, powerful stories of redemption, and divine encouragement to walk through life's challenges with faith and peace. Whether you're feeling lost, overwhelmed, or simply seeking a quiet place to rest, this channel is for you. Subscribe and join us on this beautiful journey of spiritual renewal, one heartfelt step at a time. Because here you are never alone. You are cherished, and you are loved beyond measure. SHHH. Breathe, beloved. You are safe here. Let the noise of the world fade for a moment. The guilt, the shame, the questions, the chaos. Let it all settle like dust falling to the ground. Right now, it's just you and me. You may feel like you're barely holding on, but I have never let go of you. Not once. Do you remember the first time my spirit touched your heart? Maybe it was a whisper you barely understood, a tug at your soul when you were tired of running. Or maybe it was a quiet warmth that wrapped around you when no one else noticed your tears. It wasn't loud, I rarely am, but I was there. That first touch wasn't about perfection. It wasn't because you were finally holy enough, finally pure enough, finally fixed enough. It was because you were open just enough to let me in, even in your brokenness, even in your fear. That's all I needed. You didn't have to climb a mountain to reach me. I stepped into your valley. You didn't have to shine for me to see you. I saw you in the dark. I always see you in the dark. There is a sacred story in the book of Acts. My spirit came like a rushing wind, loud, visible, undeniable. But not everyone noticed the sound. Some mocked, some questioned, some were amazed. But for my children, those who had waited, prayed, and dared to hope, that wind changed everything. The world may never understand what happened in that upper room, but I do. It wasn't just fire that landed on their heads. It was fire that entered their hearts. That same fire lives in you. You may not feel like you're strong enough. You may think you've drifted too far from that first encounter, but that touch wasn't a one-time event. It was the beginning of a new journey. I didn't just visit you. I stayed, even when you ignored me, even when you doubted me, even when you whispered in your most desperate hour, "Where are you, God?" I was there. My child, you don't need to chase that first feeling again. You don't need to recreate a mountaintop moment to prove you're still mine. The truth is, I live inside you now. My spirit whispers in ways you've learned to overlook, in the stillness before sleep, in the ache of longing, in the tears you shed when you think no one understands. I understand, and when my spirit touched you the first time, I sealed a promise in your soul, not a contract of perfection, but a covenant of presence. I will never leave you. You might wonder why you can't always feel me, why sometimes my voice seems so faint, so distant. The pain has built a wall, hasn't it? The past, the trauma, the things you haven't told anyone. They've become stones you've stacked between us. But I'm not angry. I'm not disappointed. I'm just waiting for you to open the door again. Do you remember what I said? Behold, I stand at the door and knock. I didn't say I would break the door down. I didn't say I'd leave after the first knock. I said I'd stand there and wait, patiently, lovingly, faithfully, because I know what it feels like to be tired, to be broken, to be afraid of hopping again. And I also know that my spirit in you, no matter how small it may feel right now, is still burning. The ember hasn't gone out. You are not too lost. You are not too late. You are not too far gone for me to find you again, or for you to find yourself in me. Tonight, as you lie in the quiet, let this truth be louder than your thoughts. You were touched by heaven once, and heaven hasn't stopped reaching for you. Close your eyes and remember the warmth, the light, that moment, however small, when you knew I was real and I was near. That wasn't a feeling. That was me. That is me. Let's begin again, not from the place of shame, but from the place of promise. You are my child. You have my spirit. You are still worthy of the fire, even if all you feel is a flicker. So tonight, rest in this. I touched you once, and I never let go. Chapter 2. Waiting in the upper room of fear. Can you feel the silence? Not the peaceful kind, but the kind that lingers like a question you're afraid to ask out loud. That waiting silence. That aching quiet where every second feels like a weight pressing down on your chest. Yes, my child, I know that room. The upper room wasn't filled with certainty. It was filled with confusion, fear, and unanswered prayers. The ones gathered there weren't heroes. They were human, like you. They had seen miracles and still doubted. They had walked beside me and still trembled. They had believed and still felt afraid. And yet they waited. They didn't wait because they were brave. They waited because I asked them to. Because sometimes faith is not loud or confident. It's the quiet obedience of staying in the room when everything in you wants to run. You're in that room too, aren't you? Your version of it. You've prayed, you've cried. You've asked, Lord, what now? You've been faithful, and yet it feels like nothing is moving. I see the doubt creeping in, the fear that maybe I've forgotten you, the voice that tells you maybe this is all there is. Maybe the breakthrough won't come. But let me whisper something into that silence. Waiting is not wasting. When I asked my disciples to wait, I wasn't testing their patience. I was preparing their hearts. I was building something unseen, and I'm doing the same in you. In that upper room, they didn't know what was coming. They didn't know about the wind or the fire. They didn't know that the Spirit would come with power. All they knew was that I had promised something more, and they chose to believe that promise over their fear. Can you do the same? I know the fear is real. You're not weak because you feel it. You're not failing just because you're tired of the waiting. But oh, my beloved, there is beauty in the waiting. It's It's in the waiting that your roots go deep. It's in the waiting that trust grows in the soil of your soul. It's in the waiting that my spirit begins to whisper things that can only be heard in stillness. The world tells you to rush, but I am not in a hurry with you. I'm not disappointed by your questions. I'm not threatened by your silence. I dwell with you in it. I sit beside you in your upper room with all the locked doors and unspoken fears. Do you know what I whispered behind those closed doors? Peace be with you, even before the breakthrough, even before the answers. Peace was the first gift I gave, and it's the same gift I offer you now. I know what it's like to wait. When I walked the earth in flesh, I waited too. I waited for the right time. I waited in gardens. I waited for hearts to open. So when you wait, you're not alone in it. You're walking where I've walked. And I know what comes after waiting. Power, purpose, peace. The disciples who waited in fear became voices of courage. Peter, the denier, became the preacher. Thomas, the doubter, found faith. Mary, who wept, became the witness. Because I kept my promise, and I'll keep it with you. You won't be in this upper room forever. But while you are, I want you to know this. You are not forgotten. You are not unseen. You are not being punished. You are being prepared. Every tear you've shed in silence is being collected. Every whispered prayer has reached me. Every breath of faith, even when choked by fear, is precious to me. The fire is coming, beloved. The wind will blow again. But for now, just stay, not in anxious waiting, but in holy stillness. Let me hold you here. Let me quiet your heart. Let me remind you, I never ask you to wait unless I plan to come. And I always come. I always keep my word. You are not just waiting for me. You are waiting with me. So stay, even if you're trembling. Stay, even if you're tired. And trust that in this upper room, your fear is not the end. It's the threshold of something holy. Chapter 3. Tongues of fire, hearts of ash. Close your eyes, beloved. Can you imagine the wind? Not a breeze, not a whisper, but a mighty rushing wind that fills the entire house. A wind that shakes walls, that stirs the soul. A wind that announces, heaven is here. That's how it happened. In that upper room where fear and silence once lingered, my spirit came, not gently, but powerfully. Tongues of fire rested upon every head. And in that fire, everything changed. But I know what you're thinking. I've never felt that kind of fire. I don't think I'm worthy of that kind of presence. Let me tell you something tender and true. You are not forgotten just because your flame feels small. You are not unloved because your heart feels like ash. The disciples didn't earn the fire. They weren't perfect vessels. Peter had failed me. Thomas had doubted me. The others had fled. And still I came to them. Still I filled them. Still I burned away their shame and gave them a voice. And I want to do the same with you. Because fire isn't just for warmth or wonder. It's for transformation. It burns away what doesn't belong. It refines what's been broken. It purifies what was thought unclean. And yes, I know, you carry the ashes of things you've lost. Ashes of dreams, ashes of past mistakes, ashes of identity you once thought defined you. But remember, ashes are not the end. They are what remain after the flame has done its work. In the world, ashes mean ruin. But in my kingdom, ashes are the soil for something sacred. Didn't I promise beauty for ashes? Didn't I breathe into dust and call it life? So if you feel like there's nothing left in you but dust, but ruin, but tired embers, then you are exactly where my spirit loves to begin. I don't look for perfect people. I look for yielded hearts, even burned hearts, even weeping hearts, hearts like yours. Can you believe with me for a moment? Can you believe that fire still falls? That my spirit hasn't stopped moving? That it still blows through hearts like wind through trees? I know it's hard. The world has left you weary. You've believed before, you've hoped before, and the fire flickered and then seemed to die out. But listen carefully. Flames may fade, but embers remain. And embers, when breathed upon, come alive again. Let me breathe on you now. Let my presence stir something ancient in you. That childlike trust, that spark of wonder, that sacred longing to feel me again. You were never meant to live without fire. You were never meant to walk in shadows forever. You were born of spirit, and that spirit is not weak. In that upper room, they spoke in new tongues. It wasn't about language. It was about boldness. It was about clarity. It was about finally being heard. And I know that's what you long for. To be heard, to be understood, to speak something that matters. You've kept too much inside, haven't you? You've silenced your own pain. You've swallowed your own cries. But my fire comes to unchain what fear has silenced. I will give you a voice again, not just to shout into the void, but to speak truth to your own heart, to declare, I am loved. I am not alone. I am still called. Because you are. You may feel small, but remember, the flame that ignited the church began in a room of just a few afraid, a few uncertain, but willing. Are you willing, my child? Willing to believe again? Willing to open the windows of your soul and let the wind rush in again? You don't need to be brave. You just need to be willing, and I will do the rest. The fire is not gone. The wind is not finished. The spirit is not silent. I am still speaking, still moving, still choosing to fall upon hearts, even ones that feel like ash. So tonight, whisper it with me. Lord, I'm ready for the fire again. Even if you're trembling, even if you're unsure, because what I begin in fire, I always finish in love. Chapter 4. You are not too broken to be used. You've looked in the mirror and seen the cracks, haven't you? Not just the tired eyes or the marks of time, but the fractures deep inside, the guilt you carry, the regrets you hide, the shame that clings to your identity like a shadow. You try to smile, You try to serve. You try to believe. But somewhere deep inside, you wonder if you're too far gone for me to truly use you again. Let me speak truth over that lie. Let me lift the weight off your shoulders tonight, child. You are not too broken to be used. In fact, the ones I use most are often the ones who feel the most unworthy. You see your weakness, but I see your softness. You see your past, but I see your potential. You see failure, but I see a future so beautiful it would make you weep if I revealed it all at once. Let me remind you who I've always used. Peter, the one who denied me in my darkest hour. Rahab, a woman the world rejected and labeled unclean. David, a king who fell, who broke commandments, who mourned with a shattered heart. Paul, a persecutor of my people, before he became a preacher of my word. None of them were flawless. None of them were untouched by sin, sorrow, or shame. But all of them were willing, and that was enough. You think your story disqualifies you, but your story is the very thing I want to breathe through. Because what is more powerful than a testimony of transformation? What speaks louder than redemption? I don't need you to pretend you're perfect. I need you to believe that I can turn ashes into beauty. Even yours, especially yours. When you surrender the broken pieces, I don't discard them. I gather them gently, piece by piece, with tenderness the world never gave you, with patience even you don't give yourself. And I begin again, not in spite of your wounds, but through them. Have you ever noticed how light shines through cracked vessels? The brokenness lets the glory out. The hurt makes space for healing to enter and flow through you into others. You think you have nothing to offer, but your scars hold a story, and someone else is waiting to hear it, waiting to know they're not alone, waiting to know that God still uses people like you. You don't need to have it all together to be used. You just need to give me what you have, even if all you can offer is a whisper of faith, a trembling heart, or a tear-streaked yes. That's more than enough. My child, you are not too broken. You are ripe for grace. You are ready for redemption. The world values perfection, but I work through surrender. The world chases performance, but I dwell in presence. I am not asking for a flawless offering. I am asking for a faithful heart. Remember the boy with 5 loaves and 2 fish. It wasn't a banquet, but it became one in my hands. Remember the widow who gave her last 2 coins. It wasn't much, but I called it beautiful. Remember the woman who wept at my feet with nothing to give but her tears. I welcomed her worship more than gold. If I can multiply fish and coins and tears, why do you think I can't use you? Do not fear your flaws. They are not walls between you and me. They are doors I can walk through if you'll let me. I know where you've been. I know what you've done. I know what still keeps you up at night. But nothing you've done has made me walk away, and nothing about you is wasted in my kingdom. I can use your pain. I can use your story. I can use your silence, your strength, your sorrow, your survival, because I do not choose the qualified. I qualify the chosen. And you, my beloved, are chosen. So take a deep breath now. You don't have to fix yourself before you come to me. You don't have to earn your place in my story. Just open your heart. Just place your brokenness in my hands and watch what I can do with it. Because the cracks you hide are the places where my glory shines brightest. You are not too broken. You are just broken enough for me to build something eternal in you. Chapter 5. The lame man still walks in you. You've been waiting at the gate for so long, haven't you? That invisible place in your soul, just like the man who sat daily at the temple gate called Beautiful. You show up, you endure, you hope for scraps of healing, tiny mercies to carry you through another day. And yet, you still feel paralyzed inside, not in your body, but in your spirit, paralyzed by fear, paralyzed by guilt, paralyzed by the belief that nothing will ever truly change. But child, hear me. The lame man still walks in you. In Acts 3, Peter didn't give silver or gold to the man lying broken at the gate. He gave something greater, the power of my name. He spoke with holy authority and said, "In the name of Jesus Christ of Nazareth, rise up and walk." And in that moment, muscles strengthened, bones realigned, and destiny unfolded. That miracle wasn't just for history. It wasn't just for a page in scripture. That miracle is a mirror, showing you what's possible inside your own soul. Because there's a part of you still lying down, still believing healing is for others, but not for you. Still convinced that wholeness is too far, too late, too much. But let me say it again. Rise up and walk, not by your strength, not by your perfection, but in my name. You were never meant to live your whole life by the gate. Yes, you've been hurt. Yes, you've been ignored. Yes, you've been sitting in the same pain for what feels like forever. But healing doesn't ask how long you've been stuck. It simply says, now is the time. You don't need silver. You don't need gold. You don't need applause or a platform or a perfect plan. You just need to respond when I reach out my hand, like Peter and John did. I'm extending my hand to you now. Will you take it? And listen, walking again doesn't mean running. It doesn't mean everything will feel light immediately. That man had never walked before. When his legs straightened, when he stood up, when he took those first steps, they were awkward, unfamiliar, new. But still he walked. And then he leaped. He praised. He entered the temple not as a beggar, but as a witness. That's who you are too. Not a burden, not a failure. A witness of my mercy. A testimony of healing still possible. Maybe you're afraid to stand because last time you did, you fell. Maybe people mocked your progress. Maybe the voices in your head say you'll never walk freely, emotionally, spiritually, mentally. But I have not given you a spirit of fear. I've given you power, love, a sound mind. And every time you take a step, even if it's small, even if it shakes, it matters. That step to forgive, that step to believe, that step to rest, that step to hope again. Those steps are sacred. You see, healing isn't always a flash of light. Sometimes it's a journey, a daily choice to rise when your soul wants to lie down, a daily decision to believe that my name still holds power, that my spirit still restores, because I haven't changed, and your story isn't stuck, it's still unfolding. So take my hand again, child. Let's stand together. Let's walk forward. Let's move past that gate you've been sitting at for too long. And when the voices of shame return, as they often do, you tell them, I'm walking now. In the name of Jesus, I'm walking through fear, through sorrow, through doubt, through trauma, through every lie that told me I'd never move again. Because you are not the same. You've met the healer, and when you meet the healer, you don't stay where you were, even if you still limp, even if your walk is slow, even if your faith trembles. You are walking, and heaven is celebrating every step. So tonight, rest in this. The same power that lifted a man from the dirt outside the temple is the same power that lives in you. You may feel lame, stuck, ashamed, but I see movement. I see progress. I see life. Let your soul rise. Let your hope rise. Let your identity rise. You were never just a beggar at the gate. You were always a beloved child, made to walk with me. Chapter 6. Boldness when the world tries to silence you. There are moments when the world will try to quiet you, not with kindness, but with pressure, not with peace, but with intimidation. The world has always feared boldness that comes from the Spirit, because boldness, my child, true, holy boldness, cannot be controlled, and that scares the enemy. Do you remember what happened after Peter and John healed the lame man? They were not praised. They were not celebrated. They were threatened. The religious leaders demanded silence. They wanted to shut down the miracle. They wanted to stop the name of Jesus from being spoken again. And yet Peter stood tall. He didn't tremble. He didn't shrink. He said with clarity, we cannot help speaking about what we have seen and heard, and neither should you. You've seen things, haven't you? Not with your eyes, but with your soul. You've seen me rescue you from despair. You've seen grace pull you back from the edge. You've seen hope flicker where there once was only shadow. That's your testimony. That's your voice. And I gave it to you not to be hidden, but to be heard. But I know you felt afraid to speak, afraid of judgment, afraid of rejection, afraid of being misunderstood. And so you've kept quiet. You've played small. You've silenced your fire to make others comfortable. But child, I never asked you to dim your light. I called you to shine. I called you to speak. I called you to carry my spirit with confidence, not in arrogance, but in love. Holy boldness doesn't scream. It doesn't demand. It doesn't crush others with pride. Holy boldness whispers with unwavering faith, I know who I am in Christ. It's the quiet refusal to back down from truth. It's the courage to walk into rooms where your story isn't welcome and speak anyway. It's the strength to love people who mock you, to forgive those who silence you, to stand in grace when others would rather you fall. I gave you a voice for a reason. Your healing isn't just for you. It's for others who are still waiting at their own gates. Your boldness can set someone else free. Your words carry weight when they're spoken from the fire I placed inside you. So what if the world rejects you? It rejected me first. So what if they misunderstand you? They misunderstood me too. But I kept speaking. I kept loving. I kept showing up. And I want you to do the same. When Peter and John were released, they didn't run in fear. They returned to their people. They lifted their voices in prayer. And do you know what they asked for? Not safety, not escape. They asked for boldness. Lord, consider their threats and enable your servants to speak your word with great boldness. And I answered. The place they prayed was shaken, and they were filled again with my spirit. You can ask for that too. You don't need to create boldness in yourself. Just ask me to pour it in, and I will. My child, your voice is not too small. Your past does not disqualify your calling. Your trembling does not cancel your testimony. Even if your voice shakes, speak. Even if your hands tremble, write. Even if your knees buckle, stand. Because I am with you, and the world can try to silence you, but it cannot silence me inside you. Let me remind you of who you are. You are a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a chosen people, a light set on a hill, a vessel of my spirit, a warrior wrapped in grace. The enemy doesn't fear your perfection. He fears your obedience. Because when a broken person chooses to speak anyway, chains fall, walls crumble, darkness flees. So tonight, receive this. You don't need permission from the world to be who I called you to be. You already have my anointing. You already have my spirit. You already have my word in your mouth. Now go forward, not in pride, but in peace. Not in fear, but in fire. And when the world says, be quiet, you say, I cannot help but speak of what he has done for me. Chapter 7. When you feel unworthy to speak for God, you've carried it quietly, haven't you? That heavy thought, the one that says, who am I to speak for God? You don't feel holy enough. You don't feel knowledgeable enough. You don't feel clean enough. And so you stay silent, even when something stirs in your spirit, even when you feel the nudge to comfort someone, to share what I've done, to whisper truth. You pull back because the voice in your head is louder than mine. That voice says, you're not worthy. But child, listen closely now. That is not my voice. I never called the perfect to speak for me. I've always called the willing. When Moses stood before me, he was full of excuses. He stuttered, he doubted. He said, please, Lord, send someone else. But I didn't choose Moses for his eloquence. I chose him for his heart. And I told him what I now tell you. I will be with your mouth. That is what makes you worthy, my presence. Not your past, not your vocabulary, not your record, but my spirit in you. Even Isaiah, the prophet whose words echo through centuries, didn't feel ready. He cried out, "Woe to me, I am ruined, for I am a man of unclean lips." And what did I do? I didn't rebuke him. I didn't dismiss him. I touched his mouth with holy fire, and I said, "Your guilt is taken away, your sin atoned for." Then I asked, "Whom shall I send?" And Isaiah, now cleansed and confident in my grace, said, "Here I am, send me." You see, beloved, I don't need your perfection. I need your surrender. You think your past disqualifies your voice? Then let me show you the choir I've always used. A murderer turned deliverer, Moses. A shepherd boy with a sling, David. A teenage girl with trembling faith, Mary. A tax collector hated by many, Matthew. A fisherman with rough hands, and a rougher past, Peter. A persecutor of Christians, Paul. And now you with your quiet heart, you with your tears no one sees, you with your secret battles, you with your scarred story. You are the kind of person I love to speak through, because when you speak, it's not out of pride, it's not with performance, it's with humility, and that makes your voice sacred. When you tell someone, God is good, even if your voice shakes, it carries truth. When you say, I've been through the fire, but I'm still here, you're not preaching, you're testifying. And testimony is power. The enemy doesn't fear fancy sermons. He fears honest stories. He fears when you stand in front of your past and say, look what God has done. So when you feel unworthy to speak for me, remember this: you are not speaking for me, you are speaking from me. My spirit dwells in you. My truth is in your bones. My love flows through your words, even the quiet ones, even the broken ones. There is someone right now who doesn't need a preacher. They need a person like you, someone who's wrestled, someone who's wept, someone who knows the weight of shame and the freedom of grace. You don't have to have all the answers. You just have to be real, present, available, and I will do the rest. If you ever doubt, just pray, Lord, speak through me, and I will. In your silence, I will speak peace. In your hesitation, I will give courage. In your story, I will echo redemption. Child, I have placed a word in your heart, and it wasn't meant to stay locked inside. Don't let fear steal what I've planted. Don't let shame silence the song I wrote for you. Speak, even if it's just to one soul. Speak, even if your words are wrapped in tears. Speak, not because you have it all figured out, but because I've never stopped speaking through you. So tonight, release the weight. You were never unworthy. You were simply unaware of how close I've always been. You are mine. You are chosen. You are already enough because I am in you. Let the words rise again. Let the truth come forth. Let the fire touch your lips like it did with Isaiah. And say it quietly, but surely. Here I am, Lord, speak through me. Chapter 8. The shadows cannot hold you back. There's a weight that settles in the soul when you've walked with shadows too long. Not just the shadows of night, but the ones that linger in the corners of your heart. The memories you don't talk about. The pain you've hidden behind smiles. The thoughts that whisper, "You'll never be free." But I need you to hear me clearly now, child. The shadows cannot hold you back. I know it feels like they can. I know there are days you wake up with heaviness that has no name. I know some wounds feel like they've grown roots in you. I know how exhausting it is to carry light when darkness feels closer than breath. But my light, true light, is not afraid of shadows. It doesn't shrink. It doesn't flee. It enters them boldly and transforms them. That's what I came to do in you. Do you remember what I said? The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. John 1:5. Not then, not now, not ever. You don't have to wait for the shadows to disappear to begin walking in purpose. You just need to let my light lead you step by step, even if you're afraid, because I'm not standing at the finish line, waiting for you to get it all right. I'm walking with you right now through the valley. Even David knew this. He wrote, "Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me." Psalm 23:4. Not if I walk, not around the shadow, but through it. You are not stuck. You are moving, even if it feels slow, even if every step feels like resistance, even if fear tries to grip your ankles and pull you backward. Because with me, even slow steps are sacred. Even trembling faith is real faith. And even in shadows, you are not alone. I know the things that haunt you, the betrayal that left you questioning your worth, the abuse that silenced your voice, the addiction that promised escape but delivered chains, the guilt that screams, "You should have known better." But listen to me. I have already gone before you into those shadows. I have already claimed victory in the places where you once thought hope had died. I don't deny the pain. I redeem it. I don't erase your story. I rewrite the ending. You may feel like your life has been marked by darkness, but I see every scar as a doorway, a place where my glory can shine through. And oh, child, the light that comes through a wound is different. It's deeper, it's purer, it's powerful. You don't need to pretend you've never known darkness. You just need to proclaim that it didn't destroy you. It didn't win. It didn't take away your right to be called mine. Remember this: the enemy operates in shadows, but I operate in truth. And the truth is, you are not too far gone. You are not too lost. You are not defined by your lowest moment. You are loved. You are chosen. You are redeemed. The enemy wants to convince you that your past cancels your future. But I say, your past is the soil I use to plant resurrection. What he meant for harm, I will use for healing. Not just for you, but through you. So come into the light, not the harsh, judging glare of the world, but the soft, healing glow of my presence. Here there is no condemnation, only restoration. You do not have to walk in shame. You do not have to carry what I've already forgiven. You do not have to prove yourself worthy of the light. You already are, because I've called you worthy. Let this be your prayer tonight. Lord, I bring you my shadows, the ones I've named, and the ones I'm still afraid to face. Shine your light in them. Walk with me through them, and teach me that I am not disqualified by darkness. I am delivered through it, because I will walk with you. I will not rush you. I will not shame you. I will not leave you. The shadows cannot hold you. Not anymore. Chapter 9. You are more than a prisoner of circumstance. I see you sitting in that place where life feels too heavy, where your days blur together, and it seems like your story has already been written for you without your consent. You didn't choose the pain. You didn't choose the losses. You didn't ask for the rejection, the illness, the disappointment, the betrayal. But now it feels like you're stuck, as if the events that happened to you have become the bars that surround you. A prisoner, not in a cell of stone, but in a season you didn't see coming. And the whisper creeps in. Maybe this is just your life now. Maybe this is as good as it gets. But I am here to break that lie in my name. You are more than a prisoner of circumstance. There is a story in Acts 16. Paul and Silas were doing everything right. They were preaching. They were healing. They were moving in my spirit. And still they were arrested, beaten, thrown into the inner prison, locked behind iron doors. They didn't choose the injustice. They didn't deserve the suffering. And yet, do you know what they did? They didn't curse me. They didn't give up. They sang. They worshiped in the dark. They praised me before the breakthrough. And I shook the foundations of the prison. The chains fell off. The doors flew open, not because their situation made sense, but because my presence changes everything. Let that settle in your spirit. I don't need everything around you to change in order to set you free. I can set you free inside the prison. Your freedom isn't delayed until your circumstances are perfect. Your joy isn't on hold until your surroundings improve. Your peace is not chained to your paycheck, your diagnosis, your relationship status, or your regrets. You are not a prisoner of your past. You are not a prisoner of your pain. You are not a prisoner of what they did. You are not even a prisoner of what you did. You belong to me, and I do not keep my children locked in shame. I know it's hard to believe sometimes when you wake up in the same struggle, when the healing still hasn't come, when the breakthrough still feels far away. But listen to me. You are not powerless. You are not forgotten. You are not defined by your surroundings. You are defined by my word, my spirit, my love, my promises, and those things cannot be taken from you. Do not measure your worth by what surrounds you. Joseph was in a prison when I prepared him to become a ruler. Daniel was in a lion's den when I displayed my power through his faith. Esther was in a palace where her voice could have cost her life, and I gave her courage to speak. Your surroundings do not limit my presence, and your situation does not silence my plans. You may feel like the walls are closing in. You may feel like your dreams are buried under the rubble of disappointment. But let me whisper something eternal to your soul. This is not the end. This is a hallway, not a tomb. This is a setup for deliverance, not a sentence of despair. I am still writing. I am still moving, even when the pages of your life feel blank. I am preparing the next chapter. So what do when life feels like a prison? You do what Paul and Silas did. You sing, you worship, you lift your voice when it's hardest to believe, not because the pain disappears, but because I never do. And your worship becomes a weapon. Your praise becomes a key. Your faith, even cracked and weary, becomes the invitation for me to shake what needs to be shaken. Tonight, I want you to say this. I am not a prisoner of my circumstances. I am a carrier of God's presence. Even here, I am free. Say it even if your voice trembles. Say it even if your mind resists. Because truth isn't always felt before it is believed. And the truth is this: no chain is stronger than my word. No prison is greater than my spirit. No situation is beyond my reach. So lift your head, my child, not because everything is fixed, but because you are seen, you are loved, and you are already walking in a freedom the world cannot give and cannot take away. You are more than what happened to you, more than what surrounds you, more than what you feel, more than what they say. You are mine, and I have come to set you free. Chapter 10. Ananias, forgiveness, and the things you're hiding. There are things you've buried deep, aren't there? Not out in the open, not spoken aloud, just quietly hidden in the corners of your heart. The thoughts you don't want anyone to know you've had, the secrets you carry with shame, the guilt that whispers, "Don't tell. They wouldn't love you if they knew." But I already know, and I haven't turned away. Child, nothing you've hidden has hidden you from me. There's a story short but heavy found in Acts chapter 5. A couple named Ananias and Sapphira brought an offering, pretending it was everything they had, but they held back a portion, not because they didn't trust me at all, but because they wanted to appear more faithful than they really were. They wanted the image of surrender without the vulnerability of full truth. And that's where the danger lived, not in the act itself, but in the pretending. It's not the weakness that breaks you. It's the mask. I can work with honesty. I can transform humility. But when you wear a version of yourself that hides your wounds, you block the healing I long to give. This chapter isn't here to shame you. It's here to free you, because I already see what you're hiding, and I'm still calling you closer. Forgiveness is not just for the things you've confessed. It's for the things you're still too afraid to say aloud. The lie you told, the habit you never broke, the anger you still carry, the apology you never gave, the bitterness you buried and called boundaries. Yes, even that. You don't need to come to me pretending. I'm not asking for a performance. I'm asking for your real heart, even the scared parts, even the jealous parts, even the broken, confused, or ashamed parts. Ananias died not because I was waiting to punish him, but because the weight of hiding was never meant to be carried. Secrets have power until they're brought into the light. You've been carrying something, haven't you? Maybe for years. Maybe no one else knows. But it's shaped the way you see me. It's shaped the way you pray. It's shaped the way you hide. Behind busy schedules, behind smiles, behind scripture you quote, but can't quite believe for yourself. Let me in there, to that place, to the part of you that still wonders, would God still love me if he knew? I do, and I do. There's nothing you've done that my cross hasn't covered. There's no failure too filthy for my grace, no shadow too dark for my light, no secret too deep for my mercy. But you must be honest, not for my sake, for yours, because only truth can be healed. Only the real you can be loved fully, and only full surrender can lead to full freedom. Do you know what I long to do? Not expose you to shame you, but free you to restore you. I don't need your curated version of righteousness. I want the real version of you, standing raw and undone, and whispering, Lord, this is what I've been hiding. That's where intimacy begins. That's where healing begins. And hear this, you're not the only one who has hidden things. Peter denied me. Thomas doubted me. David committed sins in secret. Elijah fled in fear. Jonah ran, but they weren't abandoned. They were restored, and you will be too. The enemy wants to trap you in secrecy because he knows that unspoken guilt becomes internal shame. But when you bring it into the light, it loses its grip. That's where forgiveness flows. That's where joy returns. That's where freedom breathes. So tonight, I invite you to say this. Lord, I've been hiding. Maybe not from the world, but from you. Here it is, all of it. The part of me I don't want to admit. The thoughts I've judged myself for. The places I've failed you and others. Please come into this secret space and set me free. And I will, not with anger, not with punishment, but with peace, with mercy, with love that does not flinch when it sees your flaws, because your story doesn't end in what you're hiding. It begins in what you surrender. Let this be the chapter where you stop pretending, where you stop hiding, where you stop believing you're too far gone. Come into the light, child. The light won't burn you, it will heal you. And in the light, you'll find me, still here, still loving you, still calling you home. Chapter 11. When you lie to yourself about being okay, you wake up every morning and tell yourself you're fine. Maybe you even say it out loud to your family, your friends, even me. I'm okay. I'm doing better. I'm managing. But deep down, your heart whispers a different story. The ache is still there. the loneliness still sits heavy. The fear hasn't left your side. And sometimes, the hardest person to lie to is yourself. Why do you do it? Why do you pretend the cracks don't exist? Why do you plaster on the smile when your soul feels cracked wide open? Because the world expects strength. Because vulnerability feels like weakness. Because you're afraid if you admit the truth, you'll lose what little you've managed to hold on to. But beloved, listen to me carefully. You don't have to pretend with me. I know every tear you refuse to cry. I see every sigh you swallow. I understand every smile that hides a scream. You don't have to carry that alone anymore. You don't have to be the master of everything's fine. When inside you feel broken, even my own son wept and felt overwhelmed. Even he cried out in the garden, "Father, if it's possible, let this cup pass from me." You are not alone in your struggle. Your pain does not make you less beloved. Your brokenness does not make you less worthy of my love. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is say, "I'm not okay." Sometimes healing begins when the masks fall away, when you stop convincing yourself and others that you're fine, and start asking for help. It's okay to admit you're tired. It's okay to say you're scared. It's okay to rest in my arms and be still with your pain, because I am with you in that stillness. I am in your silence. I am holding you through the storm you cannot speak aloud. There is power in truth. When you stop lying to yourself, you open the door to real healing. You open the door to my peace. You open the door to rest. You were never meant to carry the weight of pretending. You were made to carry my spirit, who brings freedom and truth. So let go of the lie that you have to be okay all the time. Let go of the exhaustion that comes from wearing a mask no one asked you to wear. Tell me what's really going on. Tell me your fears. Tell me your doubts. Tell me the parts of you that feel lost and afraid, and I will meet you there. I will speak peace into your chaos. I will whisper hope into your despair. I will heal the broken places that no one else can see. There is a passage in Scripture that says, "Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." Matthew 11:28. This isn't just an invitation, it's a promise. A promise that you don't have to be okay to come to me. A promise that your brokenness is welcome. A promise that I will carry what you cannot. So tonight, before you try to convince yourself one more time, try this instead. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Say to me, "Lord, I'm not okay." And then wait. Wait for my love to wrap around you like a warm blanket. Wait for my spirit to soothe your weary heart. Wait for the peace that passes understanding to fill your soul. You don't have to be okay to be loved. You don't have to be strong to be chosen. You just have to be real. And in your realness, you will find me, faithful, gentle, and ever near. Chapter 12. The widow's cry is heard in heaven. There is a cry in your heart tonight. Quiet maybe, but persistent. A cry born from loss, from loneliness, from longing, a cry that feels as if it goes unnoticed, unheard, unanswered. But my beloved, I want you to know this. Your cry is heard in heaven. There is a story in Scripture that holds this truth close. The story of the widow who came to a judge again and again, pleading for justice, for mercy, for attention. She was persistent. She was bold. She was wary. And the judge, who neither feared God nor cared about people, eventually gave her what she sought, not because he loved her, but because he grew tired of her crying out. But I am not like that judge. I do not grow tired of your prayers. I do not turn away from your tears. I lean in. I listen. I carry every sorrow you have. When you feel invisible, I see you. When you feel forgotten, I remember you. When you feel weak, I am your strength. Your pain is not small to me. Your struggles are not insignificant. Every tear you shed, every night you wrestle with doubt, every time you whisper, why? I am there. The world may not respond. The people around you may not understand, but heaven is attentive, and I am your advocate. You may feel like you're the only one left, like no one else carries the weight you do, like your cries bounce off the ceiling and fall flat in the silence. But listen carefully. I have heard the cries of widows, orphans, and the oppressed since the beginning of time. Your cry joins that sacred chorus, a song of faith, hope, and relentless trust. The widow's cry in the Bible wasn't just for justice. It was a testament of hope that refused to be silenced. She knew that persistence would change the course of her story. And I want you to know that your persistence matters too. Keep crying out, child. Keep praying even when answers seem slow. Keep trusting even when faith feels fragile. Because your prayers move heaven. Your faith opens doors that no human hand can unlock. I see your loneliness. I see your grief. I see the empty spaces at your table. And I am the one who fills those spaces with peace, with comfort, with presence. You are never truly alone, not when I am with you. Remember the words I spoke. Ask, and it will be given to you. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and the door will be open to you. Matthew 7:7. You are asking, you are seeking, you are knocking. Keep going, because the door is opening, even if you don't see it yet. Tonight, if your heart feels heavy, let this prayer rise from your soul. Lord, hear my cry. Receive my tears. Hold my heart. Bring justice where there is pain. Bring peace where there is chaos. Bring hope where there is despair. And I will answer in my time, in my way, with a love that never fails. The widow's cry was not the sound of weakness. It was the sound of unwavering faith. It was the sound of a heart refusing to give up. It was the sound of a soul reaching for me, and I am reaching for you now. Rest in that truth tonight. Your cry is heard. Your faith is seen. Your hope is alive, and I am holding you close until the breakthrough comes. Chapter 13. the martyr who knew heaven was near. There are moments in your journey when the cost of faith feels unbearably high, when standing for what is right feels like standing alone, when the world around you turns cold and the weight of opposition presses down on your soul. You feel vulnerable, exposed, afraid, but my beloved, even in those moments, heaven is nearer than you think. There is a story of a martyr in the early church, a man named Stephen. He was full of faith and the Holy Spirit. He spoke boldly, he lived bravely, and because of that, he faced opposition that led to death. He was stoned, rejected, yet in his final moments, his eyes were lifted to the heavens. He saw glory, he saw peace, he saw me standing at the right hand of the Father, and he knew heaven was near. You may not face stoning, but your battles are real. The rejection you feel, the isolation, the misunderstanding, the invisible wounds inflicted by those who do not see your heart. Your pain is real, and so is my presence. When you feel like you are at the edge, remember Stephen. Remember his courage. Remember his faith. Remember that he was not alone, because I was with him. When the world rejects you, I embrace you. When voices shout no, I whisper yes. When darkness surrounds, I am your light. When you are weary, I am your strength. You are called to be courageous, not because you have no fear, but because I am greater than every fear you face. The path of faith is not always easy. Sometimes it's narrow and steep. Sometimes it's lonely and hard, but it leads to a joy that the world cannot give. Stephen's story reminds you that even when your journey ends here, it begins anew with me. Death does not have the final word. Suffering is not the end of your story. There is a promise beyond this life, a promise of resurrection, restoration, and eternal peace. So when you feel overwhelmed, when courage seems far away, look to the heavens, lift your eyes, know that I am with you. I am preparing a place for you, a place where tears are wiped away, where pain is no more, where joy is complete. And even now, I am strengthening your heart, filling you with my spirit, breathing courage into your soul. The martyr knew heaven was near, and that hope carried him through. Let hope carry you through today. Let my spirit be your strength when you feel weak. Let my love be your shield when you feel attacked. Let my presence be your peace when you feel afraid. Remember, bold faith does not mean absence of fear. It means trusting me despite the fear, walking forward even when the path is uncertain, standing firm even when the winds howl. You are not alone in your trials. You are held in the palm of my hand, and I will never let go. So tonight, rest in this truth. Your courage is a light in the darkness. Your faith is a beacon for others. Your hope points to a glory that awaits, and heaven is nearer than you think. Chapter 14. Running away doesn't silence the call. There are moments when your soul feels the urge to flee, to run away from the pain, from the questions, from the burdens that feel too heavy to bear. You want to escape, to hide, to disappear. But my child, listen closely. Running away doesn't silence the call. Even Jonah, who ran from the mission I gave him, learned this truth the hard way. He tried to escape the task. He boarded a ship going in the opposite direction. He hoped distance would drown the voice inside him. But the storm came, the sea roared, and the great fish swallowed him whole, not to punish, but to protect, to teach him that my call is not something you can outrun. You might try to bury it deep, push it aside, pretend it's not there, but that still, small voice within you, that is me calling you back, calling you home, calling you to a purpose only you can fulfill. No amount of running can silence that voice. No distance is too far, no circumstance too dark. I am relentless in my love for you. You may feel broken, you may feel weak, you may feel unprepared, but I am not asking for perfection. I am asking for willingness. When Jonah finally obeyed, the mission was fulfilled. Lives were changed. A city was saved. And Jonah's heart began to heal. You too are called to a purpose, called to a mission that only you can carry, called to be a light in a dark world. But the first step isn't about strength. It's about trust, trusting me to lead you, even when you don't understand the path, trusting me to equip you, even when you feel unworthy, trusting me to walk with you, even when the journey is hard. Running away might feel safe, but it will never bring peace. It will never fill the emptiness. It will never silence the call in your heart. Only I can do that. Only I can satisfy the longing. Only I can give rest. So come to me, no matter where you've been, no matter how far you've tried to run. I am waiting with open arms, ready to welcome you home. You don't have to face this alone. You don't have to carry the weight anymore. I will carry you. Let this be your prayer tonight. Lord, I've run so far, but I'm ready to come back. I'm ready to hear your call. I'm ready to trust you again. Help me to obey, even when it's hard. Lead me home, and I will answer with mercy, with grace, with love that never gives up. Remember, beloved, the call on your life is not a burden, but a blessing. It is not a chain, but a key. It is not something to fear, but something to embrace. Running away doesn't silence the call, but coming to me will change everything. Rest in this truth tonight. You are held, you are chosen, you are loved, and no matter where you've been, you can always come home. Chapter 15. You are seen like Saul on the road. Have you ever felt invisible? As if no one really sees you, your struggles, your fears, your heartache. You walk through your days carrying burdens that feel too heavy for others to notice, much less understand. You wonder if you're just a shadow in a busy world. But I want you to know something profound tonight. You are seen. There is a story in the book of Acts about a man named Saul. He was not just seen, he was stopped on a dusty road to Damascus. A light from heaven shone around him, and his world changed forever. Before that moment, Saul was lost in his own mission, blinded to the truth. But I saw him right where he was, full of anger, confusion, and purpose, twisted by misunderstanding. And I stopped him. You may feel lost like Saul, confused about your path, weighed down by mistakes, overwhelmed by the voices inside and outside you. Maybe you've been running, pushing forward without knowing where you're going. Maybe you're walking a path that feels dark, lonely, or uncertain. But I see you. I see the real you beyond the masks, beyond the fears, beyond the doubts. And I am reaching out to you right where you are. Saul's blindness was physical, but it mirrored the blindness of the heart. He couldn't see the light because his eyes were clouded. But when I met him, his sight was restored, not just physically, but spiritually. His purpose was renewed. His life was transformed. You too can experience that transformation. No matter how lost you feel, no matter how broken you believe you are, I am ready to restore your sight and renew your hope. The key moment for Saul was not the light itself, but his willingness to listen. When he heard my voice, he obeyed, even though it scared him. He was vulnerable, uncertain, and afraid, yet he chose to follow. And because of that choice, his story changed. And so did the course of history. You may be afraid to let me see the real you, afraid of judgment, afraid of rejection, afraid of what surrender might cost you. But I promise you this: my love is not conditional on perfection. My grace meets you in your brokenness. My call finds you even when you feel unworthy. Like Saul, you are more than your past mistakes, more than the labels others have given you, more than the shame you carry. You are a beloved child, uniquely crafted and deeply known. I have not given up on you. I never will. So tonight, let your heart be open like Saul. Let my light find the places you've kept dark. Let my spirit restore what has been lost or broken. You don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to be perfect or ready. You just need to be willing to be seen. If you're ready, say this prayer with me. Lord, I am here just as I am. I'm tired, I'm broken, and I don't have it all together. But I want to see your light. I want to hear your voice. Show me the way. Restore my sight and my soul. And I will answer. I will shine light into your darkness. I will guide your steps. I will carry you when you cannot walk. Remember, beloved, being seen by me is the beginning of true freedom. It's the start of a journey where your scars become stories of healing. Your fears become fuel for faith. Your past becomes a powerful testimony of redemption. You are not invisible. You are not forgotten. You are deeply seen and infinitely loved. Rest in that truth tonight. I see you. I love you. And I am walking beside you every step of the way. Chapter 16. The scales are falling from your eyes. There is a moment waiting for you. A moment of clarity, revelation, and awakening. A moment when what was once hidden becomes visible. when what once blinded you begins to clear, when the scales that have covered your eyes start to fall away. I want you to know this moment is coming. It is closer than you think. In the book of Acts, there is a story of a man named Saul, soon to become Paul, whose eyes were blinded by the light of heaven. For 3 days he sat in darkness, unable to see, but his heart was open. And when a man named Ananias came, sent by me, he placed his hands on Saul and said, "Brother Saul, the Lord Jesus has sent me so that you may see again and be filled with the Holy Spirit." At that moment, the scales fell from Saul's eyes. He could see again, not just with his physical eyes, but with spiritual vision. You might feel like Saul did before that healing, confused, lost, unable to see the path ahead clearly. The pain of the past, the fears of the future, the fog of doubt, they have weighed heavy on your vision. You may have been stumbling through life, unsure of where to step next. But I want to remind you tonight, those scales will fall. Your eyes will be opened. You will see with new clarity. Sometimes the hardest part is waiting in the darkness, feeling like nothing is changing, wondering if you'll ever understand your purpose or find peace. But like Saul, you're in a sacred place of transformation. Even when you cannot see, I am working. Even when you feel alone, I am near. Even when the future looks uncertain, I have a plan. The scales fall not because of your strength or wisdom, but because of my grace. Because I send people, moments, and messages that awaken your heart. Because I pour my spirit into you, giving you eyes to see beyond what is visible. You will begin to recognize the lies you believed. You will start to understand the truth you were created for. You will see yourself not as broken beyond repair, but as beautifully restored. This moment of revelation will bring freedom. Freedom from shame, freedom from fear, freedom from the chains that held you captive. You will no longer be bound by your past mistakes or the voices that told you you weren't enough. Instead, you will see yourself through my eyes, beloved, chosen, and worthy. I know it may be difficult to believe now. Your pain may still feel fresh. Your doubts may still whisper loudly. But hold on, dear one. The scales fall when you least expect it. Sometimes in a quiet prayer, sometimes through a kind word, sometimes in a sudden moment of peace. Be patient, be hopeful, be ready, and when the scales fall, your life will never be the same. You will walk forward with confidence, purpose, and joy. You will carry my light into places of darkness. You will share your story to inspire and heal others. You are being prepared for this moment right now. Every trial, every tear, every prayer, it's all part of my refining process. So tonight, invite me into the dark places of your heart. Lord, I don't see clearly right now. I feel lost and confused, but I trust that you are here, working in me. Open my eyes. Let the scales fall away. Give me your vision for my life, and I will answer. I will open your eyes. I will reveal your path. I will fill you with my spirit and my peace. Remember, beloved, the scales are not permanent. They are temporary barriers meant to be removed. And when they fall, you will rise with new sight, new hope, and new strength. You are not blind to me. You are never unseen. You are deeply loved, and soon you will see it for yourself. Rest in this promise tonight. Your vision is about to be restored, and I am with you every step of the way. Chapter 17. God can use even what you regret. There are moments when your past feels like a heavy chain, binding you to regret, shame, and sorrow. You look back and wish you could undo the choices, the words, the mistakes. You carry burdens that whisper, "This is who you are." But I want you to hear a truth that can change everything. God can use even what you regret. There is a man named Paul, once Saul, whose life is a living testimony of this truth. He persecuted my people, acted in anger and fear, and caused great pain. His past was filled with things even he could hardly face. Yet in my mercy, I transformed him. I changed his heart. I gave him a new name and a new purpose. Your regrets do not disqualify you. They do not put you outside the reach of my grace. I specialize in making beauty from brokenness, light from darkness, and hope from despair. I do not just forgive, I redeem. I do not just erase mistakes, I use them. Think of Joseph, betrayed by his own brothers, sold into slavery, falsely accused, imprisoned. His story is filled with injustice and pain, but I used every step of his difficult journey to position him for a destiny that saved nations. Your story is no different. Every regret, every wrong turn, every failure, they are not wasted. They are part of my divine plan. It may be hard to believe this when your heart is heavy, when guilt whispers louder than hope, when you think, "I'm too far gone." But my grace is greater than every mistake. My love is stronger than every chain. My power is able to turn your ashes into a masterpiece. You don't have to carry your regrets alone. Bring them to me. Place them at the foot of the cross. Let me take that burden from your shoulders. When you surrender your past, I breathe new life into your future. I give you a clean slate and a fresh start. Your regrets may be painful, but they are not the end. They are the raw materials I use to build something beautiful in you and through you. Your story becomes a beacon for others who feel lost and broken. Your testimony becomes a powerful message of hope and redemption. If you feel unworthy because of your past, remember this. I called the worst of sinners to be my servants. I chose fishermen, tax collectors, and outcasts to carry my message. I am the God of second chances, and third and fourth, and more. So tonight, say this prayer with me. Lord, I bring you my regrets. I bring you my mistakes, my failures, my shame. Use them for your glory. Transform my pain into purpose. Make my story a testament of your grace. And I will answer with mercy, with healing, with hope. Remember, beloved, nothing is beyond my reach. No regret is too deep. No past is too dark. I am the God who makes all things new, and I am making you new. Rest in that promise tonight. You are forgiven. You are loved. You are being transformed. Chapter 18. A table for all. No one is left out. There is a table prepared for you. A table that is wide and welcoming. A table where your past does not bar you from entry. Where your mistakes do not push you away. Where your fears and doubts find a place beside grace and mercy. I want you to know tonight, no one is left out of my invitation. Throughout Scripture, I have set tables for all kinds of people, for the lost and the found, for the broken and the healed, for the outcast and the chosen. At the wedding feast of Cana, water was turned into wine, a sign that ordinary moments become extraordinary in my presence. At the Last Supper, I broke bread with my disciples, sharing a meal that symbolized new covenant and unending love. You may feel like you don't belong, like you're not good enough to sit at the table, like your past or your pain keeps you on the outside looking in. But hear me clearly. You are invited. You are welcome. You have a seat. The woman at the well was an outcast, judged by many, carrying the weight of shame. But when she met me, her life changed, and she became a witness to my inclusive love. Levi, the tax collector, was despised by society. Yet I called him to follow me and be part of my family. I do not exclude. I embrace. I gather. This table I prepare is not about perfection or status. It's about relationship. It's about connection. It's about grace that covers all. When you come to me, you come as you are, not as someone who has it all together, but as someone who needs my love, not as someone who has earned their place, but as someone who is freely invited. Maybe you've tried to sit at tables where you were made to feel less than, where your voice was ignored, where your wounds were mocked, where you were told you didn't belong. Those tables do not define you. They do not limit my invitation. My table is wide enough to hold every fear, every failure, every scar. It is a place of healing, a place of restoration, a place where you can lay down your burdens and receive strength. At this table, you are seen. You are valued. You are deeply loved. If you feel unworthy to come to this table, remember the parable of the prodigal son. He returned broken, ashamed, uncertain, but his father ran to him, clothed him in the finest robe, and threw a feast in his honor. That's my heart toward you. No matter how far you've wandered, I am ready to welcome you home. So tonight, come to my table. Bring your hurts, your doubts, your fears. Bring your hopes, your questions, your dreams. There is space for you, a seat saved just for you, and a love that never fails. Let this prayer rise from your heart. Lord, I come as I am. I bring my brokenness and my hope. Thank you for inviting me to your table. Help me to receive your love and grace. Teach me to extend that love to others. Rest in this truth tonight. You belong. You are chosen. You are loved. And at my table, you are always welcome. Chapter 19. When you feel unclean and unlovable, there are times when the weight of shame feels unbearable, when the mistakes, the hurts, and the disappointments settle in your heart like a thick fog. You look at yourself and whisper, I am unclean. I am unlovable. You believe that no one could ever truly accept you, especially not me. But my beloved, I want you to know a deep, unshakable truth. You are clean. You are loved. You are treasured. In Scripture, there is a story of a woman who was labeled unclean by society because of her illness and lifestyle. She was outcast, ignored, and judged, but she dared to reach out and touch the hem of my garment. And in that moment, she was healed not just physically, but spiritually. That touch was a declaration of faith, a cry for acceptance, a step toward freedom. You might feel like that woman, rejected by others, rejected by yourself, believing your past or your pain has made you untouchable. But I say to you tonight, my love is greater than every label placed on you. My grace is wider than every failure you carry. My acceptance is deeper than every wound you hide. You are not defined by what others say. You are defined by my love. I have made you clean, not because of what you've done or not done, not because you earned it or deserve it, but because I chose to wash you with my blood, because I long to hold you close and whisper, you belong to me. Your worth is not in your perfection. It's in my perfection covering you. The enemy wants you to believe that your past mistakes make you unlovable. He wants you to hide in shame. He wants you to believe that the grace of God isn't for you. But grace is exactly for you. Grace was made for broken hearts, weary souls, and unclean hands. Grace is the power that makes the unlovable lovable. You might be afraid to come near, afraid that your scars will repel rather than invite. But I want to draw you close. I want to heal your wounds. I want to remind you that nothing, no sin, no failure, no rejection can separate you from my love. When Peter denied me 3 times, he felt unclean and unworthy. Yet I restored him. I gave him purpose. I called him to lead my church. You are not beyond restoration. You are not outside my plan. You are part of my family. So tonight, bring your feelings of unworthiness to me. Let me wrap you in my love. Let me cleanse you with my grace. Say this prayer: Lord, I feel unclean and unlovable, but I trust your word. Cleanse me, heal me, help me to believe that I am worthy of your love. Rest in this promise tonight. You are not alone in your struggle. You are not rejected. You are not forgotten. You are loved beyond measure. You are made clean by my sacrifice. You are chosen, treasured, and deeply beloved. Chapter 20. Freedom from the chains you don't see. There are chains that bind you, invisible to the eyes of others, but heavy on your soul. Chains of fear, doubt, guilt, and pain that hold you captive without a sound. You may not even realize you are bound. You carry burdens you cannot name. You fight battles that leave no visible scars. But my beloved, tonight, I want you to hear this. There is freedom waiting for you. Freedom from the chains you don't see. In the story of the early church, there was a man named Paul, imprisoned not by iron bars alone, but by circumstances beyond his control. He was chained to a guard, confined in a prison cell. Yet even there, in the darkest places, I was working through him. I sent an earthquake, a divine shaking, to break the chains and open the prison doors. That same power is available to you today, to break every unseen chain that holds you back. The chains that bind you are not always obvious. They may be habits that enslave your mind. They may be lies you believe about yourself. They may be fears that keep you from stepping forward. But I see every chain, and I am the breaker of chains. Freedom begins in the heart. It begins when you recognize that you are captive not to your circumstances, but to what you believe about them. When you understand that lies about your worth, your past, your future are what truly imprison you, I want to set you free from those lies. I want to break every chain of condemnation, fear, and despair. Do you feel trapped by guilt, by mistakes that haunt you, by memories that refuse to fade? Lay those down. Bring them to me. I am your Redeemer. I make all things new. No sin is too great for my forgiveness. No past too dark for my light. Are you bound by fear? Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of the unknown? I am your courage, your shield, your steady hand. Walk forward with me. Step into the freedom I have prepared for you. Sometimes you may not even see the chains because they have become comfortable. Familiar patterns, toxic relationships, old wounds left untreated. But I am here to help you break free. You don't have to carry this alone. Call on me. Trust me. Let me lead you into freedom. Remember the words I spoke through my prophet, to set the captives free, to open the prisons for those who are bound. Isaiah 61:1. That promise is for you. So tonight, I invite you to pray with me. Lord, I surrender the chains I cannot see. Break every hold that keeps me captive. Fill me with your freedom, peace, and joy. Help me walk in the liberty you have won for me, and I will answer. I will shake the walls of your prison. I will open the doors. I will lead you into the light. You were born for freedom, freedom to love, freedom to hope, freedom to live fully in my grace. Don't settle for less. Step into the freedom that is yours and walk boldly in the newness of life. Rest in this truth tonight. The chains may have been invisible, but the freedom I give is undeniable. You are free. You are loved. You are my child forever. Chapter 21. The midnight hour is when I speak loudest. There are nights when your soul feels heavy, when silence wraps around you like a thick fog, when the darkness seems endless, and every worry whispers louder than your hope. When you lie awake, heart pounding, thoughts swirling, and you wonder if anyone hears your prayers. Beloved, I want you to know this. The midnight hour is when I speak loudest. In the quiet and stillness of your deepest struggles, I am there, not distant or absent, but close, closer than your very breath. When the world sleeps, my spirit moves. When your heart is restless, my peace flows. When your tears fall in secret, my comfort surrounds. The midnight hour is sacred. It's a time when heaven bends low, a time when I pour out strength and whisper hope, a time when I hold you close and remind you that you are never alone. Think of the Psalms, where David cries out in the night. He confesses his fears, his doubts, and his pain. Yet in the same breath, he declares trust in me. In the night, Lord, I remember your name and keep my hope alive. Psalm 42:8. Your midnight cries reach my ears. Your restless heart is not unnoticed. I am awake with you. Sometimes the darkest hour feels like the longest, but that is when I work most powerfully. When your spirit is weakest, my strength is made perfect. When you feel lost, I become your guide. When your hope falters, I renew your soul. Do not despair in the silence. Do not fear the night, for I am with you in every moment of loneliness and doubt. I am your light in the darkness, your song in the stillness. You may feel that your prayers go unanswered, but my timing is perfect. Sometimes I am preparing your heart. Sometimes I am breaking chains. Sometimes I am planting seeds of faith that will bloom in due season. Even when you do not see it, I am at work. Even when you do not hear it, I am speaking. The midnight hour is a sacred invitation to come to me with your burdens, your fears, your hopes, to lay down your worries and receive my peace, to listen for my voice, soft but sure. I know it is not easy. The night can be frightening. The silence can be deafening. But trust me, I am holding you. I am guiding you. I am loving you fiercely. If you find yourself awake again tonight, remember this prayer. Lord, speak to me in the silence. Comfort me in the darkness. Remind me that you are near. Fill me with your peace and hope, and I will answer. I will fill your heart with calm. I will renew your strength. I will remind you of my promises. Beloved, your midnight is not the end of the story. It is the place where new beginnings are born. It is where faith grows stronger. It is where my love shines brightest. Rest now in this truth. In the darkest hours, I am closest. In your deepest need, I am your refuge. In your midnight cries, I am your comfort. You are never alone. Chapter 22. Even earthquakes can set you free. There are moments when your world feels like it's shaking beneath your feet, when everything you thought was steady suddenly trembles and shifts, when foundations you trusted crumble and your heart races with fear. But my beloved, I want you to know, even earthquakes can set you free. In the book of Acts, Paul and Silas were imprisoned, chained, and beaten, for their faith. Yet in the darkest hour, they prayed and sang praises to me. And suddenly the ground shook. The prison doors flew open. Every chain fell away. This divine shaking was not just an act of power. It was a sign of freedom breaking through. What seemed like destruction became the doorway to deliverance. Your life may feel like a prison sometimes, trapped by circumstances, addictions, fears, or past wounds. You might feel powerless, locked in by invisible chains that keep you from moving forward. But I am the God who shakes the earth to set captives free. I am the one who breaks chains, opens doors, and brings resurrection from the ruins. Fear often whispers, "This shaking means disaster." But I tell you now, sometimes what feels like an earthquake in your life is the very thing that will break you free. Sometimes the walls must fall before you can walk into the light. Have you been afraid to face change because it feels overwhelming? Afraid that shaking your world will make things worse? Afraid that losing control means losing everything? Trust me, I am in control. I hold every trembling moment in my hands. Remember that the earthquake did not harm Paul and Silas, it freed them. The shaking was a sign that I was working behind the scenes, orchestrating their release. I am doing the same in your life. Sometimes I allow the ground to shake to wake you from complacency, to help you release what holds you back, to open your eyes to new possibilities, to invite you into deeper faith and trust. When your world trembles, don't run from the shaking. Don't try to hold on to the crumbling pieces. Instead, lean into me. Let me be your rock when the ground beneath you moves. I am your refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. No matter how fierce the storm, how violent the quake, I will be your steady foundation. If you feel overwhelmed tonight, pray with me. Lord, my world is shaking. I am afraid, but I trust you to be my rock. Shake what needs to be shaken in me and around me. Lead me into freedom and peace, and I will answer with power, with peace, with a love that will never let you go. Beloved, even earthquakes can set you free. Sometimes the breaking brings blessing. Sometimes the shaking ushers in new life. You are not alone in the tremors. I am holding you close. I am leading you through. Rest in this promise tonight. The shaking is not the end. It is the beginning of your freedom. Chapter 23. You don't have to pretend to be strong. There are days when you feel the weight of the world on your shoulders. Days when the mask of strength feels like the only thing holding you together. Days when you pretend everything is fine, even though your heart is breaking inside. Beloved, I want you to hear this tonight. You don't have to pretend to be strong. Strength isn't about hiding your pain or pushing through without rest. True strength is found in surrender, in bringing your brokenness to me, in admitting your need, in allowing my grace to carry you. Remember my son, Jesus. He showed strength in weakness. He wept tears. He felt sorrow deeply. He rested when he was weary. Even on the cross, he cried out, my God, why have you forsaken me?" Matthew 27:46. He did not pretend to be strong. He was fully human, fully vulnerable. You are made in my image, created for connection, not perfection. You are not designed to carry every burden alone. You are invited to lay down your armor, to stop pretending that everything is okay, and to come to me as you are, weak, weary, honest. There is power in vulnerability. When you stop pretending, you open the door for healing. You invite my spirit to move deeply within you. You create space for others to love you authentically. The world often confuses strength with self-reliance and silence. But in my kingdom, strength is leaning on me. Strength is crying out for help. Strength is admitting when you can't go on alone. You don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to fix everything before you come to me. I love you not for what you do, but for who you are, my beloved child. If you've been pretending to be strong, today I invite you to let go. Take a deep breath. Bring your struggles to me. Let me hold you. There is a story of Elijah, the prophet, who fled in fear and exhaustion. He told me he was the only one left, and he wanted to give up. But I met him not with anger, but with gentle encouragement. I spoke not in thunder or wind, but in a quiet whisper. Sometimes my love speaks most loudly in moments of quiet vulnerability. When you stop pretending, you hear me better. When you rest in weakness, my strength flows freely. Tonight, say this prayer. Lord, I'm tired of pretending. I'm tired of carrying burdens alone. Help me to be honest with you. Help me to find strength in surrender. Hold me when I'm weak, and remind me that I am never alone. Remember, beloved, you don't have to be strong today. You just have to be willing to let me be strong in you. Rest in this truth tonight. My grace is sufficient. My power is made perfect in weakness. You are loved beyond measure, not for what you can do, but for who you are. Chapter 24. When goodbyes feel like the end, goodbyes are never easy. They carry a weight that settles deep in your chest, a sorrow that lingers long after the words have been spoken. When someone you love walks away, or a season closes, you feel as if the world has shifted beneath your feet. Beloved, I want you to know tonight, goodbyes are not the end. In the story of the early church, my disciples faced many farewells. They said goodbye to friends, to places, to familiar ways of life. When I ascended into heaven, my followers were left with empty hands and aching hearts. But I promised them this: I am with you always, to the very end of the age. Matthew 28:20. Sometimes the pain of goodbye blinds you to this promise. You may feel abandoned. You may feel alone. You may wonder if your life will ever be the same. But I am here, whispering into your silence. I have not left you. I will never leave you. Goodbyes can feel like loss, but they also create space. Space for new beginnings. Space for growth. Space for me to move in ways you never expected. Think of Ruth, who said goodbye to her homeland and family. Her goodbye was hard and uncertain, but it led her into a new place, into a story of redemption and hope. Or Peter, who denied me, yet was restored and called to build my church. His goodbye to his old self was painful, but it was not the end. You may be facing a goodbye now, to a relationship, a dream, a way of life. It may feel like everything is ending, but I promise you, I am writing a new chapter. When goodbyes feel like the end, lean into me. Trust me. Let me hold your heart. I am the God of new beginnings. I specialize in turning endings into opportunities, in bringing beauty from ashes. If your heart feels broken tonight, pray with me. Lord, goodbyes are hard. I'm afraid of what comes next. Help me to trust your plan. Help me to believe in new beginnings. Hold me in this transition and fill me with hope. Remember, beloved, every goodbye is a promise of a hello. Every door that closes leads to a window opening. Every ending is the start of something new. You are not alone in your grief or uncertainty. I am with you, guiding, comforting, renewing. Rest in this promise tonight. Goodbyes are not the end. They are the threshold to new grace. Chapter 25. Tears at every shoreline. There are places in your heart where tears gather, quiet shores, where grief meets hope, where sorrow meets strength. Tears that flow in silence. Tears that break your soul open. Tears that speak the language of healing. Beloved, I want you to know, your tears are precious to me. In Scripture, rivers of tears are often the beginning of new life. The psalmist wrote, "You have kept count of my tossings. Put my tears in your bottle. Are they not in your record?" Psalm 56:8. I am not distant from your pain. I do not overlook your suffering. I gather every tear you shed, each one treasured in my hands. Tears are not a sign of weakness. They are a sign of a heart alive and aching, longing and trusting. Even my son wept at the tomb of Lazarus, showing us that tears are part of love. You may be standing on the shoreline of loss. Loss of a dream, a relationship, a loved one, or a part of yourself. The waves of sorrow may crash over you, threatening to pull you under. But I am your anchor. When your tears fall, I am there to catch them. When your heart breaks, I am there to mend it. When the world feels cold, I am the warmth that surrounds you. Your grief is not ignored. Your pain is not wasted. Tears can be a bridge between the brokenness of this world and the healing I bring. They soften your heart and open your spirit to my comfort. They prepare you for the dawn after the darkest night. Remember the story of the woman who poured expensive perfume on my feet, her tears mingling with the fragrance, washing away years of pain and regret. I told her, "Your faith has saved you. Go in peace." Luke 7:50. Her tears were a sign of healing and release. You may feel overwhelmed by your tears, unsure if you will ever stop crying. But know this, every tear brings you closer to my peace. Every sorrow plants the seed for joy to grow. Every broken moment is held in my heart. So when the tears come tonight, let them flow. Don't hold them back. Cry out to me with honesty and trust. Pray with me. Lord, my tears are many, and my heart is heavy. Hold me in my sorrow. Turn my mourning into dancing. Bring joy to my soul. Beloved, your tears are not a sign of defeat. They are a sign of faith. Faith that I am near. Faith that I see you. Faith that I am working all things together for your good. Rest in this promise tonight. Your tears have power. They are seeds of healing. They are evidence of a heart that loves and is loved. Chapter 26. The storm will not swallow you. Storms come. They rage through your life like unrelenting winds and crashing waves. They shake your foundation, test your faith, and make you wonder if you will ever find calm again. But I want you to know this truth deep in your soul. The storm will not swallow you. In the Gospels, you see me and my disciples caught in a furious storm on the Sea of Galilee. The waves were high, the wind howled, and fear gripped their hearts. They thought they would drown, but I was there, asleep on the boat. When they woke me, I stood and spoke to the storm. Peace, be still. And the wind ceased. The waves calmed. The storm obeyed. Your storms may not cease immediately. The winds may continue to blow. The waves may rise. But I am the master of the storm, and I am with you in the boat. You do not have to face the tempest alone. When fear threatens to overwhelm you, call on me. When anxiety steals your peace, invite me in. When darkness presses down, lean on my light. Storms reveal who you truly trust. Do you trust in the chaos or in me? I am your refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble. Psalm 46:1. When the storm comes, remember who holds your life. You might feel battered and bruised by the storm. You might feel tired and worn, but the storm is not the end of your story. Like the disciples, you may not understand why the storm comes, but you can trust that I am still sovereign, that I have not abandoned you, that I am working all things for your good. Faith is not the absence of storms, but the presence of me in the storms. When you feel overwhelmed, remember I am there, calming your fears, steadying your heart, guiding you safely through. Let go of the need to control the storm. Surrender your worries to me. Rest in the knowledge that I am greater than every trial, and that I hold you securely in my hands. If you are in the storm tonight, pray with me. Lord, thank you for spending this time with us. Remember, no matter what you're facing, God's love is always with you, steady, unchanging, and boundless. If this message touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to join our community of hope and healing. We're here to walk alongside you, one gentle step at a time. Until next time, may you be wrapped in peace, filled with faith, and surrounded by God's endless love. God bless you.